Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. I'm trying to keep my voice down. There are Icelandic forces wandering around Ulster, and I don't want them to find me and take me hostage. There's nothing we can do to stop them. I was thinking about hiring some mercenaries. We would not be able to get enough together, so Iceland is going to cause some devastation in the region, and they're probably doing that in revenge for one of the wars that was fought on the last episode. If we take a look at Iceland, here is their ruler, who succeeded his father in 1113. At the moment he doesn't have any children, so his heir is his sister. If we take a look at her husband, the first thing we can see is that their son is the new Duke of Uí Néill. And of course, we aided our brother-in-law to end the tyranny of this individual. And if we look at his kill list, there is our father-in-law, who he executed. And that has led to a spate of wars in that region. Two of our brother-in-laws were killed, basically fighting in support of this man. So that caused a bit of havoc. So I imagine now Iceland is raiding our territory in revenge for that. Something to address quickly is that since the last episode, the 1.5.1 patch has dropped, and that's made some changes. So you might see that some people have gotten some new clothes. I think Denmark has changed, or not Denmark, Scotland has changed a lot as well. And you can see that they've sorted out a bit of a graphics bug that was going on here. I had a bit of problems getting the game set up today, because when I was loading in the portraits for, we'll say, if I was to come to the courtiers, these portraits would be blank. And it wasn't until I removed the Ethnicities Portraits Expanded mod that I realized just how much that mod is contributing to the game. So all of these beautiful Irish or kind of Celtic styled clothing, that's all coming from that mod. So these brooches and things, that's all coming from the EPE mod. So I had to unsub and sub back to that for a couple of times to get it working. But we're all up and running. There's more hassle in this area. Another war has broken out to try and install Duke Girth, formerly King Girth, to try and reinstall him again. So this would be the third time he would be reinstalled. I think he was king, deposed, was king again, was deposed, and now he's seeking to become king again. It's all up in the air. Anarchy. Pure and utter anarchy. Let's see what's going on in the royal court. There is a massive Icelandic force wandering around Ulster. And all of a sudden, a flock of robed men burst into my throne room. Is it an attack? No. It's lunatics. High King Cronon, cries one of these robed men. We are followers of Sogan the Headless, a great holy man who has been decapitated as part of a prophecy God gave him at birth. As often happens with holy figures, his head started rolling away. We have been chasing it through the land and are certain it rolled up the hillock into your castle. This is hardly going to be Sogan, our former doctor that we made a monk. He's hardly become a cult leader, has he? You have my leave to search the castle. Let me join your search, or I will not allow a cult to rummage through my court. So, Ulfnacoin, Crovoin, or Croven, is the leader of this faction. If we let him search, it's going to hit court grandeur. We could join in. We will lose opinion with our bishop, who's already at 100%. We do need to keep the Pope on side, though. I will not allow a cult to rummage through my court. I've said it before that the Pope is good for a few bob. He's decent that way. We got money from him there in the last episode to keep the armies going. So we want to keep religious affairs up, or we want to keep religious approval up, because there's something I need to ask from the Pope. First of all, we might as well unpause and see where these lunatics are going. Now, when I said we'd see where those lunatics are going, I was talking about Iceland. One night, I blink awake and find myself being straddled. It's not the poor wife who has been cursed to be naked for 5 years because the jester stole her clothes. Instead, it is a deranged monk who is holding a scalpel to my throat. I suppose if you bar us from seeking the head, we could settle for yours. So rotund and shiny, I wager it will roll nicely. Let's go and look for the head right now. We could try and fight him. We could basically challenge him to decapitate us. Why don't we go and look for it right now? Take him to the basement. We'll gain 60 stress. And so we get this lunatic off of us. We take him down into the basement. He's searching through everything. Does happen to find a portrait of our grandfather, Uladh. While we don't manage to find the head, we have two options. We could hire him as our antiquarian, because of course we have no antiquarian since the death of Finlay. We will lose 20 opinion with our Archbishop, and I'm just after saying we need to keep that up. Here we will gain court grandeur, and we will set our lodging standards to middling lodgings. So that'll cost 0.4 per month, but it will give us improved stress gain. Do you know what? I think I'm going to go for that. Do we need an antiquarian at the moment? His stats aren't fantastic. Like, very good stewardship. Who is our current steward? I'm just wondering, do we have anyone afterwards? I mean, for just the cost of one, that's not too bad. He's only one better. So I think we will take the middling lodgings and the 10 court grandeur. After our incursion into Wales in the last episode, we've taken a good chunk of prisoners. I've just started releasing them. 2 of them have left already. We have a 3-year-old lord who's been imprisoned for 2 years. We should release him. He will give us 50 quid. These are 2 other members of his family, or courtiers, that he will give us money for. This guy is the son of a prince who I don't think wants to give us any money. So I might hold on to him for a short while more. This prisoner has no liege. Their father has died, and they doesn't seem as though the land is in the family anymore. So I will recruit this person. We'll see if we can keep the pretty trait. If we can maybe marry them off to a knight at some stage. So there you go. Crusader Kings 3, letting you live out your dreams of forcefully recruiting 7-year-olds and planning to marry them out to knights. And we thought Iceland were the monsters. And this is why we need to get all of our prisoners ransomed out, is because members of our family are being taken hostage by Iceland. So they've sieged down this area a lot already. I was expecting this. I was expecting they'd come for Ulster. They're not losing a lot of forces in terms of attrition, but they are going off for Scotland. We might be saved. After all the hassle we went to on the last episode to install Alice as the Duchess of de Hybert, she has lost control of the region. Within just, what's that, just over a year, the former ruler, Cain, has retaken de Hybert and has established a independence faction against us. And of course, our cousin, Lachlan, is being married off to her eldest daughter, because we were hoping that that might possibly put a member of the Dál Fiatach in charge here. Of course, we're becoming interested in Wales after our son-in-law was deposed in Gwynedd. A couple of episodes back I was saying that this was Dehybert. I'm getting mixed up. But our son-in-law controlled this region. He was deposed by this man in a war that we joined but lost, or we didn't actually get to take part in it. We're unhappy about that. We see an opportunity after Alice's invitation to help her to retake her lands, very much like Diarmid mac Murchad's request to Henry II to help him retake Leinster in the late 1160s. So she asked us to help retake her lands here. We have done that. She has sworn allegiance to us. And we could now look to retaking Gwynedd, because we do actually have the ability to declare a vassalization war. And that is something that we're going to be looking towards once we get our factions under control. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get anybody else on board, or if he has any stats that would make him a valuable addition to the court. No is the answer. And again, poor Cronon is hit with another mental break, brought on by a lunatic trying to cut his head off with a scalpel. I think we'd all turn to the drink after something like that. We're going to get a stewardship and learning penalty and a moderate health penalty. It will knock off 48 stress, however. I've just sent some members of the court to be educated, or some children in the court to be educated. Here is the poor 7-year-old that we captured and recruited recently. So we're training her as a spy master. And Cronon himself will educate his son Gillicullum and Ben Ulla, Nick Leinchuk. So this is, of course, that family. There's Leinchuk, our knight, and Durley, Nick Ben Ulla. So potential to have high diplomacy, and also has that robust trait. So it'll be an interesting character for the future. So we'll see how our education goes of those characters. And of course the other problem then is that we have a dangerous faction. It's not even Cain. It's a peasant rabble who are going to be sending an ultimatum in 11 months. We are getting the army back together, however. So we should be able to deal with that. Our court grandeur has been increasing a bit, and as it has, they have re-wallpapered the back wall, and they've put down a carpet. We'll take a look at the grandeur. So it's going to drop below 4. If I am understanding correctly. I think this mechanic is a bit like the Federations in Stellaris. I think... Are you laughing at me? What we'll do is increase to bland food. And do I also want to go for few servants? That will take us up to 1 gold a month. I think what we will do instead is few servants, and we will put that down. It'll actually just barely keep us above the 4 mark. So we're going to go for few servants instead. Guest recruitment goes down. It'd be great if that worked on knights as well. Personal scheme power, hostile scheme power, and court grandeur bonuses. And the reason that we came into this screen in the first place is to hold a court. We will hear the petitioners. So the last time we did this, we ended up going to war in Wales. What will this time bring us? We have 3 petitioners. My lord, I represent the religious community in Fahan. While rummaging through our modest archive, we came across a very peculiar book. The cover was dusty, the binding fragile, and the pages were yellowed by time, but it contains the most unusual drawings, and the script itself was unknown to all of us. We are certain it is unique in the world, a long-lost vault of knowledge, a true treasure. Is it the last copy of Toynbee Chúllanna, which was given to Spain for a Latin book? Is it? That's why we're offering it to you. Perhaps it's the original copy of The Will of God. No, I thought it was... Stories about Cuchulainn. Bring me stories about Cuchulainn. I don't care about him. Or it's a memoir from the world's creation. So we can add it to our collection. It's a mysterious book. 5 monthly prestige. I was going to say, why would you not take this? Why would you not take the option? So here we lose 150. Why would you not take the option to gain mysterious book? Ah, okay, that's the reason you wouldn't take it. We will add it to our collection, of course we will. A thin, raggedy peasant stands before me, gawking at the opulence of my throne room, obviously distracted. I call him to get his attention. Oh, I'm sorry, my lord. My village in Ulster was hit by blight this year. We lost not only our crop, but our seed too. We have nothing. We will starve without help. Glancing around my throne room again, he adds, surely you have wealth to spare. Don't you be looking at my wallpaper. 25. Your service will repay your debt. So, free labor, construction time goes down, development growth increases. That would be fantastic. Or levy size goes up, holding taxes go down. We will fund your rebuild effort. Do I need that extra 10 grandeur? We'll do this, because like I said, we will get the development growth, if nothing else. A commotion in the ocean arises from the back of my court before anyone can grab him. A man rushes up to your throne. Fair play to him for waiting, at least. Halting before you, but offering no deference. One look in his eyes tells me all I needed to know. The man is not mentally sound. Monster! You sent us to die. Why do you go unpunished? From this man's ranting, I have discerned that he has somehow been involved in one of my wars, which is probably why he is so distressed. There were a lot of them. Is it my son-in-law? What is to be done with this lost creature? At this point in time, it would make perfect sense to get Cronon killed. So if we had taken that option to have his head cut off by the crazed worshippers of the Headless, then we would see Amlív become king, young king, 20 years of age, conquer Wales and hold the regions for a considerable period of time. But I don't think Cronon would... Cronon has never seen himself as a fighter. Fergus Uí Néill wants to battle us. We gain 350 prestige, we'd lose stress, we'd become an aspiring blade master. I think we will ask our court sorcerer, Brichine, to care for them. So the ceremonial formality is over. There was no wars this time. My business is done. So unfortunately we are going to be without a court poet for another while. We have gotten our approval with Murica up to 97, but there is still a -5 to acceptance. It has improved because of our lodging standards, so maybe if we add some more improvements to the court over time, it'll make it easier to get him to join, or to get somebody to join. But we are still finding it very difficult to actually get any poets to join us in the court. We have just returned Breffni to our daughter-in-law, or I should say we have returned Breffni to the control of the Kingdom of Connacht. So it had been part of the Kingdom of Ulster for a considerable period of time, since it was conquered a few generations ago. And we're now in a position to get a lifestyle perk. I was thinking of going for this because our stress is so high. The only problem is we have no use for extort subjects because I imagine, as a result of our high generosity, that we would absolutely fall apart if we tried to impose that. So we will go for Republican ruler opinion plus 20, Republican vassal tax contributions plus 15. Not sure to be much good to us, but of course we have a fantastic mayor, Asuk, who has been doing fantastic work for us as a knight. In total, we have 1 Republican vassal. What's his kill list like at the moment? Not massive, but he's always showing up as wounding people, so he has done tremendous service to the kingdom. He is probably one of our best knights. And now he's gotten a 10% increase to his taxes. Dear God, the amount of money he has. So I'm thinking of getting our stress levels down. However, to do so, to hold a feast would be 200 gold. That's a bit pricey, so I'm going to hire a Master of the Hunt. They're going to help with holding better hunts, basically. We could give the position to Asuk, but he is already Master of the Horse. Dunaduk, our uncle, is a bit of a divil. And even though her approval is already fairly high, because we've just given her Breffni, or we've given Breffni over to her control, our daughter-in-law, who we don't have a position for on the council, I think we will make her Master of the Hunt. And in reality, we're not going to get much more of a benefit out of it. If we were to hold a feast, it would be 200 gold. And we would lose 112 stress. This way, it is 72 stress for 133 gold. We might get some prestige out of it, however. Sound the horn. At the very least, we are no longer overcome by stress. And we find some poachers in the woods. So we could hang them. We could use them to increase our prowess. Or we could find them. It's a stewardship challenge, and our stewardship isn't great. And we could end up giving a minus 30 popular opinion, which is probably not something that we want to do with so many wars going on at the moment. I also don't think that he would take an action like that because of his generosity. So it looks like we're going to get poacher training, which is pretty useless to us. We have become a novice hunter. Gives us more prowess and stress loss, so it's going to be we're going to get more stress loss from hunts in the future. Can't imagine we'll be having too many. And we return home invigorated with a bit of prestige. Like I said there at the start, some of my messing around trying to get the mods to work led to some characters changing clothes. Here's the Pope in a new set of robes and a new hat. We're going to ask him for gold. 1 gold short of what it cost us to hold that hunt. And as always, he tells us to use the funds wisely, and as always, we tell him, yeah, sure, yeah. So you really did learn absolutely no lessons from the last time. You deposed the guy you're going fighting. You deposed his father. You got 2 of your brothers killed. One of those brothers I had already fought 2 liberty wars for, and he never became libertied. We'll accept. Now the handy thing is with our bit of a colony over here, we can actually raise our forces closer. I'm just wondering where these guys are going. I don't think we're going to be able to cut them off, and I don't think our allies will follow us over to attack this main army, which would be the best idea. We're seeing 375 troops. I was just wondering if they were going to maybe think about going for Leinster. I don't think we're even attacking these guys. I think we're just hostile with them. Sorry. So yeah, that did not actually impact the war score. We have become malnourished, and we are close to death. I'm pretty much waiting to see if the... Okay, right, no, total confusion. Total and utter confusion. Those forces are not actually fighting each other. I thought that these guys would fight these guys to start with. If we could just... If we could actually take on an army and deal some damage to it. Now, of course, the reason that we are malnourished is because of one of the de-stressing traits that we took at one stage. Actually, I think from a royal court. Here is our new vassal, Laura, up in Allach. So Cuanú, something's happened to Cuanú, died from his wounds. So Cuanú was badly injured in the last war that we had. Cuanú and his epic struggles with his brother. So Laura is asking for Gillicullum to visit him in Uí. Of course he will be there. So these guys are now coming up to us. We will try and offer battle to the main army. Unless they... This was bad timing. To the blathering High King Cronon. I think if we were to accept this, it would get us into a lot of trouble. Obviously, it would get us out of a lot of trouble if we accepted it. Never. A peasant's lot is to serve their lord. If we accept, it's going to be minus 75 control in the counties affected. So, we will see what exactly is going on. We're still trying to catch these armies. We're still trying to catch something. And Ulster is actually under siege. Fogartuck has died. So that's Fogartuck in Munster. We're going to try and pull back our forces. Get them to help with the siege of Ulster. Because I think if I was to stand them down, then we'd be left in a scenario where it would take 3 months to stand them back up. Uladh, whose brother Cuanú died recently, has convinced the neighbouring realms and vassals that the treaty between ourselves and Cain of Dehybert, our vassal, is flawed, illegitimate and unfair, and we can go to war with him again. I don't think we have any wars to fight immediately, so we don't need to worry too much about that. We're going to have the soldiers land just to the north. Hopefully we can get that debuff to go away before we move them in. Well, that's one way of getting a debuff to go away. High King Cronon of Ireland rests in the arms of the Lord at 57 years of age. He drank himself to death, and, of course, he was malnourished, so he had no soakage. A keen and dedicated hunter, he loved to spend entire weeks in the wilderness, looking for alcohol. High King Umleave ascends to the throne, courageous and willing to rush to action. Many hope that Umleave's bravery will not see the realm fall into reckless ruin. 23 years Cronon ruled. 57 is quite young. 12 wars, 9 offensive and 3 defensive. He was following the stewardship lifestyle. He was a diplomat. He was a devoted servant. Of course, he took Ireland out of Catholicism and into Catholicism, the way that we could get money off of the Pope. Level of fame was illustrious. He was the cultural head, and he drank himself to death on the 12th of October, 1127. I don't think any titles went in any directions because there weren't any to go anywhere. And if we look at the lineage, look at the men that have stood before him. He was just 2 years short of the reign set by his father, or his grandfather, I should say, Uladh. fought a lot more wars than any of them. He was the first actually to fight any defensive wars. He was the first to make substantial use of the what would you say, the alliances that he formed. The reason I'm getting confused is because these guys are being described as High Kings, which I believe is incorrect. So he definitely wasn't a High King. I think it was it Cronon that created the High Kingship? I actually have to go back and check. But we will continue. Not as High King Shocknasuk, but as High King Amleve. So the first things to take note of, it seems as though all of the wars that we're involved in have come to an end, so we will disband the armies. The other thing is, Girth has finally died. Poor Owl King Girth. So there was a war being fought for his claim to England. And if we look very briefly at the title history, he died just before our father, Cronon, did. So we saw him as a 7-year-old, then Girth was deposed, then Girth took over again, and then this guy took over. He's currently fighting a war which he is losing. Or I think they were winning the war to install Girth again. That's obviously come to an end, but there's now an attempt basically to depose him. So England is in anarchy. Anyway, we'll worry about our own anarchy first of all. Here is the new High King of Ireland, just 21 years of age. Midas touched. I do remember saying I haven't played as many characters who have had 4 stars in any trait. He is zealous, brave, and calm. Those are good traits. The fact that he's Midas touched is going to allow us to do things that his father wouldn't have been able to do, such as demand payments. So his father was generous, and we've had shy diplomats, and we've had generous, intrigue-minded people, or people who were too generous to demand money even when they could. For lifestyle, we will obviously go for stewardship. And it's already started putting us down the architect route. We will go for wealth focus. Try and get some money in. It's gotten us a professional workforce. They really are not worth much, and but I still don't think it's worth taking 100 stress to reset them. So more than likely we will go for golden obligations and set our spy master to work on finding secrets that we can demand payments for. And speaking of spy masters, let's take a look at the council. This guy does not like us. Short reign, cultural acceptance, personal diplomacy. I don't know if there's anyone less risky to replace him with. We might actually sway him. We'll keep him on side. For steward, we will put the ruler of Ossory. Oh yeah, there's no contest there. And then for Chancellor, we have some powerful vassals who want a job. They're actually of equal skill, but Dunaduk has the larger army, and also Arthacoin likes us a small bit. So even though presumably our fathers would have attempted to build a relationship between ourselves and Arthacoin, as they were such good friends, Crahur and our father Cronon, I think we will give it to Dunaduk as our Chancellor. I don't think... Yeah, no, we have nobody that comes anywhere close to Leinchuk. So we do have a couple of powerful vassals that are unhappy. Here is one of them. We'll have to see how that plans out, or how it plays out. And speaking of unhappy vassals, our poor lunatic half-sister, Muirin, has returned to us, the twin sister of Shocknasuk. So her husband has died. her daughter, who is the rightful ruler of Gwynedd, has ended up somewhere, Italy by the looks of it, so we can't actually communicate with them. Here is just a random count in the south of France. I'm going to organise this marriage because, well, she's 37. There are better candidates that are like 16, 17. I don't think those alliances would really have been made. So, and they're actually kind of just as far, if not further away. So nothing suitable in Scotland or England. We don't actually have any other valid marriage opportunities at the moment other than our mother and best friend Gunhilda. Now we can, however, ransom Earl Osmond, and I imagine this is somebody who ended up in our court after our father's war. He is our cousin, which means that he is the heir to one of the two murdered, or the two brothers that were slain in battle against us. So we'll ransom him out for 50 quid. And anyway, who needs to be establishing sensible alliances when you can go and get the Carlings? Here is our daughter, Ovlach, who is probably only a couple of weeks or a couple of months old. And we are going to organise a marriage between her and the youngest son of the King of France, a member of the Carling dynasty. Now, she is at the moment our only child. This will not be a matrilineal marriage. It will bring us in an alliance with her father's, or his father's, 3,000 troops, as long as he doesn't end up losing too much power. Actually, we might be called into this war, and it would give us a good opportunity to involve ourselves in the affairs, our first trip to the continent. But we do need to basically either change the succession laws or have more children. We just got a pop-up that the King of Scotland has died. Duncan II has died. He has been succeeded by his son, King Stephen. And our Chancellor, Eadamir, ruler of Ossory, wishes to come and see us. In deference, offering nothing but her oath to faithfully serve as a vassal of the kingdom. Serve me well. So we gain some prestige, some court grandeur, and some renown for the family. Our mother is wandering around the court making a nuisance of herself. She doesn't know what to do now since Cronon died. She's looking for a job. We could ask her to become a monk. Her stats aren't great for anything. If we tell her to take any job, she'll become antiquarian. We could just tell her we're busy. We could promise her a job. We're going to tell her that we are very busy. There's no alliances or anything that can be made by marrying her off to anybody, but what we'll do is marry her to Asuch, the mayor of Carrickfergus, loyal and faithful vassal to our father, our great knight. You can help him. He probably has work to do. Also, mother, please, could you put on some clothes? Is she still suffering from no raiment? This character is wearing nothing but a smile. Mother, please, I'm the king now. It's probably fitting that we should hold a royal court to inaugurate our rule. And just like our father, who art in heaven, somebody comes to us offering us a mysterious book. We have a number of different options. Our father had the option to either Who Cares About Books or to add it to his collection, but because we are zealous, we have the option to gain piety, gain dread, lose stress, which I don't think we have any of at the moment, and burn the book, because it is a work of Satan. So all the kids seem to be applauding the little bonfire that we've set. Somebody leads our grandaunt, I think maybe. Martha, our court tutor, leads her in chains. Apparently she's been sending sensitive information to foreign spies in England. We could execute her. Gain 20 dread, gain 5 dread, lose 22 stress, become dynastic kinslayer. We could send her to the prison, lose opinion with all the members of her family, or we could say, I forgive once, do not betray me again. So that will give us a strong hook on Martha. Martha has a lot of money. Oh no, the kids are not as happy with our decision not to execute a member of our family. This is basically what we're doing, is just checking. These are the most important councillors in the kingdom. A peasant woman is brought before me, and no matter what the guards do, she will not stop dancing. She can't stop dancing. Trailing blood from mangled feet. Did she dance all the ways here? My courtier, Brichina, is certain that the citizens are afflicted by an excess of blood, causing an imbalance in the humours. There's too much blood in them. That makes sense. My Archbishop Secna, on the other hand, insists that it is a curse sent by Saint Vitus to punish the peasants. We'd probably agree with him. I think we're a more kind of zealous and more religious-minded ruler. Well, maybe not religious-minded, but we're zealous. Now, it does make sense that we would fight dancing with dancing. I do just love bring out the leeches. But we will have them pray for deliverance, and God shall surely answer. We will gain piety, lose even more stress, and gain opinion with our Archbishop. That wasn't too shabby. A first royal court for the young Amleave. I think that is where we will leave it for today. We got to see just the first couple of years of his rule, establish some alliances after the very quick and unexpected death of his father. Is that the second member of the family to drink themselves to death? I don't think Uladh drank himself to death, but I think it was pretty much the alcohol that finished it off. We have a long reign ahead of us, however. The succession is not as yet stabilized, and our main issue is going to be getting some money together, getting our piety up, and setting in motion our father's plans to continue the conquest of Wales. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one.